When you think about spies, you probably imagine a man in a dark suit, a woman with a fake accent, high-tech gadgets, and secret meetings in underground parking lots. But this image is wrong. Because the most successful spies in history were not trained agents. They were ordinary people. Teachers, engineers, students, clerks, drivers, office workers, even unemployed civilians. They didn't look suspicious. They didn't act dangerous. They didn't think of themselves as spies. And that is exactly why intelligence agencies wanted them. This is the real story of espionage. Not how spies operate, but how spies are created. Before we dive in, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is. And if you've ever wondered how ordinary people just like you or me can be pulled into the world of espionage without even realizing it, stay with us. Make sure to hit subscribe and turn on notifications, because in this video we'll reveal the secrets intelligence agencies don't want you to know. First, let's understand why ordinary people are the perfect target. Professional intelligence officers are rare. They're expensive to train, hard to protect, and easy to suspect. Ordinary people, on the other hand, are everywhere. They blend in naturally. They already belong. They already have access. An engineer doesn't need to break into a facility. He already works there. A student doesn't need a fake identity. She already studies at the university. A driver doesn't need a cover story. He already moves between locations. To intelligence agencies, access is more valuable than loyalty. And ordinary people already have that access. Now, let's talk about the first rule of recruitment. Spies do not recruit strangers randomly. They observe first. Before any contact is made, intelligence agencies spend months, sometimes years, studying potential targets. They ask questions like, is this person under financial pressure? Are they emotionally isolated? Are they angry at authority? Are they ambitious but feel blocked in their career? Do they feel unrecognized? The perfect recruit isn't evil. They're unfulfilled. Recruitment begins long before the first conversation ever happens. This leads to identifying the pressure point. Every human being has one. Some people need money. Some need validation. Some need revenge. Some just need a sense of meaning. Spies call this the vulnerability map. No one is recruited without one. A person with a happy life, a stable income, and strong social support is extremely hard to recruit. But introduce debt, divorce, career failure, family illness, or political frustration, and everything changes. Spies don't create these problems. They just wait for them to appear. So how does the first contact happen? This is the most misunderstood part. Spies don't just walk up to people and say, "Do you want to work for us?" The first contact is always innocent. It might look like a casual conversation at a coffee shop, a professional opportunity that seems too good to be true, an academic interest in your work, or just a shared complaint about the boss. Sometimes it's as simple as, "Can I buy you a coffee?" The goal isn't recruitment, not yet. The goal is to build rapport. In these early stages, spies ask for nothing. No information, no favors, no secrets. Instead, they listen. They let the target talk about their problems, their frustrations, their dreams. They agree, they empathize, they validate. Trust isn't built by persuasion. It's built by understanding. By the time the actual recruitment begins, the target already feels safe and understood by their new friend. Then comes the first small step. The first task is always harmless. It could be something like, "Can you just confirm a public schedule for me?" Or "Could you introduce me to someone at your company?" Or "Can you explain how this public system works?" Nothing illegal, nothing dangerous. But psychologically, something important happens. The target crosses the first line. Once a person helps once, helping again becomes easier. Spies understand this principle deeply. Recruitment is not a sudden jump. It's a slow, gentle slide. Small, harmless tasks become slightly more sensitive. Sensitive tasks become confidential, and confidential tasks eventually become classified. At no point does the target feel a sudden, jarring shift. When they look back, they often can't even pinpoint the moment it all became serious. This is not accidental. It is meticulously designed. Contrary to what you see in movies, money is rarely the main motivator, especially at first. Many recruits receive little or no payment initially. More powerful motivators are things like feeling important, feeling intelligent, feeling respected, or feeling needed. Some recruits don't even realize they're being used. They might think they're just helping a friend, or contributing to academic research, or even balancing injustice in the world. By the time money is introduced, a sense of loyalty is already established. Ideology is also a powerful tool, but it's often used as a means to an end, not as a core belief for the recruiter. Intelligence agencies don't really care what recruits believe. They care how those beliefs can be activated and used. A strong nationalist can be turned against what they see as a corrupt state. A dissident can be used to challenge authority. A passionate reformist can be used to destabilize institutions. Beliefs are simply tools, not the foundation of the relationship. Fear is a weak motivator, which is why it's usually used last. Fear creates resistance. It causes people to make mistakes, and it increases the risk of exposure. Blackmail is typically a final stage, not the first. It's only used when the recruit is in deep, when withdrawal seems impossible, and when exposure would destroy their life. And even then, the threats are often subtle. So you might ask, why didn't they just stop? Why didn't they walk away? Because by that point, stopping feels worse than continuing. Walking away means admitting to betrayal, facing unknown consequences, and losing the new identity they've built. Continuing, even if it's dangerous, feels safer. Spies understand this psychological trap. They build it carefully, step by step. And who are the most dangerous recruits? They're not the high-ranking officials. They are the administrative staff, the technicians, the analysts, the assistants, the people no one watches closely. They don't make the big decisions, but they enable those decisions. They have access to the flow of information. And that makes them priceless. The uncomfortable truth is this: most spies were never trained to be spies. They were recruited quietly, patiently, and humanly. Not through force, but through a deep understanding of human psychology. And that is why this system has worked for centuries. Because the most powerful weapon in intelligence is not technology, it is human nature. Did you know that your university campus might be a prime recruiting ground for intelligence agencies? It's true. Students are often curious, ambitious, eager for experience, and sometimes a little financially stretched. This makes them ideal targets, not just for companies, but for recruiters with hidden agendas. These recruiters aren't cloak-and-dagger figures. They might be a professor offering a unique research opportunity, an internship coordinator with amazing connections abroad, or even a fellow student who seems to know everyone. The whole interaction feels completely natural. If you think you're just networking, building your career, or learning new skills. But every detail you share, your academic research, your lab access, your technical abilities, is being carefully noted. Even social clubs, debate teams, and student organizations can be used to spot the most confident, ambitious, or even manipulable students. It's a silent, patient game, played right in the open. It's not just happening on campus. The new frontier for intelligence work is right in your pocket: social media. Platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and even TikTok are absolute goldmines of information. We all post our routines, locations, interests, friends, and colleagues. Recruiters watch this silently, sometimes for months or even years. A seemingly innocent comment you make on a professional post could be the trigger. Suddenly, you get a message. "Hey, I noticed your work on that new coding project. Really impressive. Have you ever considered collaborating with our international team?" This is the digital version of that casual coffee invitation we talked about before. Once contact is made, the classic recruitment process begins. Building trust, making small requests, and then gradually escalating. Even your likes and shares are used to build a detailed psychological profile of you. Every click tells a story, but the most powerful tool of all is emotional connection. Recruiters don't just ask for information. They become your friend. They listen to your problems, offer advice, and show empathy. Imagine a single parent struggling to make ends meet who suddenly finds a supportive friend offering help. Or a student overwhelmed by academic pressure who gets guidance from an experienced mentor. Or an employee frustrated at being overlooked at work who is finally promised the recognition they deserve. These interactions feel genuine, even altruistic. You don't feel like you're being targeted. You feel like you've finally found someone who understands you. The target often has no idea they're being manipulated until it's far too late. The recruiter becomes a confidant, a pillar of support, making the eventual requests for favors feel like a natural part of the friendship. Once that initial trust is cemented, the requests start, but they escalate so slowly you barely notice. It begins with something completely harmless. Maybe they ask you to verify some publicly available information, or deliver a simple message for them, or just attend a meeting and be an observer. Simple, right? No big deal. Then the tasks become slightly more sensitive. Could you copy this internal but non-classified document for me? Or could you just note down the new office schedule? Maybe they ask you to use your ID to let them into a restricted but not top-secret area. Each step is so carefully calculated that stopping feels more awkward and difficult than just going along with it. By the time the requests involve serious espionage, the recruit is already psychologically invested, caught in a web of obligation and trust. And this leads to what's known as the point of no return. This is a critical psychological threshold. Happens when you've already shared sensitive information multiple times. You start to fear what would happen if you were exposed. You might feel dependent on the recruiter emotionally, financially, or even ideologically. At this stage, walking away doesn't feel like an option anymore. This is why most ordinary people who get recruited as spies continue, even when it goes against their conscience. Panic might set in, but the system is designed to trap them silently, making escape feel impossible. Now, you might think ideology is the main driver. Recruiters are cautious with this. They might convince a recruit that they're protecting their country, supporting a just cause, or correcting a terrible injustice. But ideology often serves as a justification, not the foundation. The real loyalty is often situational, built on the relationship with the handler, not a deep-seated belief. A person can genuinely believe they are doing the right thing while still being completely controlled by their recruiter. And what about money? Money is rarely the only motivator, but it's an incredibly effective tool for reinforcement. Small payments early on help create a habit. Occasional, larger rewards ensure you keep participating. Initially, the money might be framed as a reimbursement for your time or expenses, not as payment for secrets. This clever framing makes the whole arrangement feel mutually beneficial, not coercive. It's just a little something to thank you for your help, a token of appreciation. Throughout this entire process, from the first contact to the final assignment, recruiters are engaged in silent observation and psychological monitoring. They watch how you react under pressure. Do you question their requests? Are you hesitant or confident? Do you share information voluntarily or only when you're asked directly? These subtle observations guide their next steps in the manipulation. Even after you're in, the evaluation never stops. Intelligence agencies maintain constant psychological surveillance to ensure your loyalty, reliability, and continued usefulness. If you look at history, you'll see these patterns repeated over and over. During the Cold War, ordinary clerks and secretaries became double agents after being courted for months, often through friendship and romance. Mossad has famously approached students in Europe through academic connections, gradually turning them. The IRGC has groomed young tech professionals through social networks and ideological appeals. The CIA and KGB have a long history of targeting employees with personal vulnerabilities, like debt, a messy divorce, or frustrated ambition. In every single case, the process was gradual, patient, and deeply human. It wasn't flashy or dramatic like in the movies. It was quiet and methodical. The digital age has only expanded the reach of these recruiters. On professional platforms like LinkedIn, they can identify rising talent and influential people early in their careers. In niche online forums, technical discussions reveal who has valuable expertise and ambition. Even in the world of online gaming, the trust and teamwork built within a virtual world can create invisible bonds that are later exploited. Your likes, shares, and social media interactions are all being monitored, allowing intelligence agencies to map your vulnerabilities without ever meeting you in person. They use classic psychological tricks to do this. There's reciprocity. They do small favors for you, making you feel obligated to return them. There's authority. They pose as experts or influential figures whose guidance seems valuable. There's isolation. They subtly cut you off from friends or family who might offer advice or a different perspective. And of course, there's gradual escalation, slowly increasing the stakes until backing out feels impossible. Recruiters are experts in human behavior, exploiting the small cracks in our psychology that most of us never even notice. So, when does the recruit finally realize what's happening? Often the alarm bells only go off when they're asked for clearly classified information or when they are openly threatened with exposure. It's the moment they finally understand the full legal and personal consequences of their actions. But by then, their emotional, financial, and psychological investment is so deep that stepping back is incredibly difficult. The recruiter has already woven the trap, and the recruit is caught in the middle. What's truly remarkably and frankly terrifying is that this whole system relies not on force, but on patience, psychology, and human nature itself. It proves that almost any ordinary person has the potential to become a spy if the right conditions are met. The right vulnerabilities are exploited, and the right manipulations are applied with precision. This is how the world of espionage turns ordinary lives into extraordinary secrets. We often think of spies as action heroes, but the truth is far more subtle and chilling. The most effective spies are often ordinary people, just like you and me. So how do intelligence agencies turn a neighbor, a colleague, or a friend into an asset? It starts with a game of trust, but quickly evolves into something much more complex. This is where advanced recruitment tactics come in. Imagine a recruiter creating multiple fake identities, all designed to earn your trust from different angles. This is called layered deception. Or picture someone gradually sharing sensitive insider information with you, making you feel special, important, and part of an exclusive club. They're creating a sense of mutual dependency where you feel your success and safety rely on them. Think about it. You're an engineer, and a new colleague is incredibly helpful. They praise your work, share insights, and you start depending on their advice. One day, they ask you to copy a restricted file. Would you do it? After months of building trust, you might not even hesitate. Your perception of loyalty has already been reshaped. That's the invisible power of advanced recruitment. Before any of this happens, every potential target is carefully profiled. Intelligence agencies spend months mapping out your mind. What drives you? Is it money, recognition, revenge, or just plain curiosity? They need to know your limits. How far are you willing to go, and what lines will you absolutely not cross? And most importantly, what are your pressure points? Your vulnerabilities that can be exploited without making you suspicious. They test you with subtle mind games. Maybe they'll pose a hypothetical moral dilemma, like if someone offered you a lot of money for a company secret, what would you do? They'll observe how you react to stress or authority. They might even run small social experiments, making little requests just to see how compliant you are. The scariest part: you would never know you're being tested. By the time they make their move, the recruiter already knows exactly how to manipulate you. Today, this game has moved online. The digital frontier has completely redefined espionage. Recruiters no longer need to meet you face-to-face. They can build a detailed psychological profile just by watching your social media. Your posts, your likes, your comments, they all reveal your ambitions, frustrations, and moments of isolation. Professional sites like LinkedIn show them your skills and, crucially, your access to sensitive workplaces. Even the way you interact in online games can be analyzed to assess your loyalty and decision-making under pressure. There are real cases of this happening. A recent graduate in Europe got a networking invitation online. What started as friendly chats soon escalated into sharing sensitive information. He never met his recruiter in person. This just goes to show that no online interaction is ever truly private. You are constantly being observed, mapped, and categorized. Of course, the most powerful tool in a recruiter's arsenal is emotional manipulation. They are masters of exploiting human feelings. They'll use flattery and validation, telling you you're the only one who truly understands this. They might subtly isolate you from your friends and colleagues, making them your only confidant. They'll share small, harmless secrets with you to create a feeling of obligation, making you want to share something in return. Slowly but surely, they build a dependency, whether it's emotional, financial, or professional, that ensures you keep complying. Think of a struggling student. A recruiter, posing as a mentor, offers help and guidance. Over time, the student starts sharing research data, believing it's just collaboration. It feels natural, even helpful. But every piece of information is being strategically exploited. Recruitment is never a sudden event. It's a slow, gradual escalation, carefully staged to condition your mind. It starts with harmless tasks: deliver a public document, confirm a meeting schedule. Then, it moves to mildly sensitive things: copy an internal memo, report on a colleague's routine. Before you know it, you're being asked for classified data or to photograph restricted areas. By the time the tasks become serious espionage, your mind has been so conditioned that stopping feels impossible. This psychological momentum is the secret behind the world's most successful intelligence operations. At some point, every recruit crosses a point of no return. This happens when you've repeatedly shared sensitive information, and the fear of being exposed becomes overwhelming. You've become dependent on the recruiter emotionally, financially, or ideologically. Once you cross this line, walking away isn't an option. You risk your career, your relationships, even your freedom. This is how ordinary people find themselves committing extraordinary acts of espionage, all while thinking they're just helping a friend. History is filled with shocking examples. A clerk in Washington, D.C., secretly passed on classified communications for 5 years. A university student in Europe was groomed through a research program and ended up leaking sensitive nuclear information. In every case, the recruits were just normal people, living invisible lives until their actions changed history. So, let me ask you, what would you do? Imagine a friendly mentor notices you're struggling. They understand your frustrations and want to help you achieve your dreams. They start asking for small favors. Would you politely refuse? Would you help out just occasionally? Or would you trust them completely? Most of the people in those historical cases chose to help or trust, never realizing they were being drawn into something much, much bigger. Recruitment is a long game. Intelligence agencies operate like chess masters, where every move is calculated. They observe every weakness and note every reaction. Even after you're recruited, the game continues. There are periodic check-ins, disguised as friendly chats, occasional small rewards to reinforce your behavior, and constant monitoring of your emotional state and digital footprint. The target is always under subtle control, often without ever realizing it. The digital era has only made this remote control more powerful, allowing global influence without ever crossing a border. The shocking reality is this: the most dangerous spies aren't the ones you see in movies. They are the ordinary clerks, students, and employees who go completely unnoticed. The world of espionage thrives on human psychology, not on gadgets or weapons. And this silent, invisible war is happening all around us, right now. So, what can we learn from all this? First, be aware of who influences you and how. Understand that your trust can be weaponized. Realize that small favors and shared secrets can have massive consequences. And remember, your digital footprint is an open window into your vulnerabilities for anyone who knows how to look. Espionage isn't always about car chases and explosions. Slow, patient, and invisible. It's a game of human nature, psychology, and trust. It's about turning ordinary lives into extraordinary tools. The next time you dismiss someone as just an ordinary person, look again. The hidden world of spies is right there, hiding in plain sight. This documentary is based on open-source intelligence, historical case studies, and investigative research. Some events and examples are reconstructed or simplified for educational purposes. This content is not intended to encourage illegal activity or espionage, and is meant solely to educate and inform viewers. Thanks for watching. If you found this journey into the shadows of espionage fascinating, be sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the worlds hidden right beneath our feet.